Jake, 30s, is putting away clothes in his bright, modern bedroom when he freezes, listening intently. A soft, rhythmic scratching is heard coming from inside the drywall. He slowly walks to the wall and presses his ear against it. But the scratching stops instantly. Jake, skeptical, mutters to himself, "Pipe settling, just the house." He pulls his ear away, but the scratching returns, much louder and faster now, like fingernails tearing at plaster. Jake whirls around, his face a mask of terror, exclaiming, "What the hell? It sounds like something trying to get out." He slams his fist against the wall. The scratching stops, replaced by a wet, sickening thud from inside. Jake is now on his knees, observing a small, dark, damp stain that has suddenly appeared on the hardwood floor beneath the suspicious wall. The stain is visibly spreading. The light in the room seems to have dimmed slightly. He reaches out and touches the spreading stain on the floor. He brings his fingers to his nose and recoils slightly. He says, "God, it smells metallic, like old pennies and something rotten." He quickly stands up and examines the wall again. He notices a tiny pinhole in the drywall, exactly where the noises were originating. He leans in close. Through the pinhole, a tiny flickering yellow light can be faintly seen. Jake whispers, "There is a light in there. Not a basement light. It is too high. There is an actual room." He pulls out a large utility knife from his pocket. A fast shadow moves rapidly across the outside of the bedroom door. Jake is breathing hard, gripping the utility knife tightly. He begins to hack away at the drywall with desperate force, dust and plaster flying everywhere. The knife digs deep into the wall, tearing a jagged, dusty hole. As the hole widens, a sudden, cold blast of air rushes out, causing the bedroom lights to flicker wildly and then dim significantly. He rips out a large section of drywall with his bare hands. Behind it, there is no insulation. Instead, he reveals a solid, old wooden door with heavy, rusted iron hinges and no visible handle. Jake whispers in awe and terror. It is bolted shut from the other side. But if it is a room, how did they close it? He slowly backs away, shining his phone flashlight onto the sealed door. As the light hits the aged wood, a quick, sinister carving becomes visible. It is a symbol that resembles a human eye being sewn shut with crude stitches. Jake's voice is barely a whisper as he says, "I need to open this." Jake is now using a large crowbar, grunting with immense effort, repeatedly slamming it into the heavy, old wooden door. Dust and splinters are flying towards the camera. The iron hinges are screaming in protest under the assault. He is breathing heavily, his face and clothes covered in fine white dust. He gasps, "Come on, just give. What is holding this shut?" He hits the wood harder with the crowbar, causing a loud splintering sound near the rusted latch. As the crowbar slips, it tears a large strip of wood away, revealing a dark, cavernous opening behind the door. A sudden rush of foul, freezing air blasts out, hitting him in the face. He reels back, coughing violently. He shines his phone light into the absolute darkness, illuminating a small, dusty space that stretches deeper than expected. The light stops on a small, child-sized wooden chair, sitting innocently in the far corner. Jake whispers, "It is small. No, it is too deep. This is impossible." He takes a tentative step closer, his phone light trembling noticeably. A low, soft scrape sound comes from deeper within the room, just at the edge of his hearing. Jake fully pries open the remnants of the wooden door, stepping cautiously into the hidden room. The air inside is thick, with a sickening stench of decay, mildew, and something metallic, like stale blood. His phone light struggles to cut through the oppressive darkness, revealing walls covered in peeling, stained wallpaper. The room is much larger than he first thought, stretching back further into the foundations of the house. On the floor, there are faint, dark outlines, suggesting where furniture once stood. A single, small, faded child's drawing of a stick figure holding hands with another, faceless stick figure, is tacked onto the peeling wallpaper. The drawing looks ancient and sinister in the dim light. Jake shivers violently, feeling an unnatural cold that seems to penetrate his bones. He notices a small, almost invisible indentation on the floor, directly in the center of the room. It looks like a shallow depression in the floorboards. As he leans closer to inspect it, a faint, almost imperceptible whisper seems to emanate from directly beneath the floorboards. A sound of children's voices murmuring something unintelligible. Jake's eyes are fixed on the small indentation on the floor. He slowly kneels, his hands trembling as he traces the outline. He realizes it is not just an indentation, but a shallow, almost perfectly square depression. He carefully inserts his fingers into a crack along its edge and pries it open. Beneath, the leather is cracked and dry, and a thick layer of dust covers it. He slowly picks it up, the weight feeling unnatural in his hands. As he brushes off the dust, he sees a faded inscription on the cover. It reads, "Our happy memories." His heart pounds in his chest. He slowly opens the scrapbook. The first page contains a blurred, faded photograph of a smiling family from decades past. Their eyes seem to follow him. Beneath the photo, a single, childlike word is scrawled in faint, dried ink. It reads, "Trapped." A sudden, sharp click is heard from the room's entrance, making Jake jump. He whirls around, but nothing is there. The cold feels even more intense. Jake continues to flip through the scrapbook's fragile pages. Each page reveals more faded photographs of the same family. But as he progresses, the images grow increasingly disturbing. The smiles fade. Faces become blurred or scratched out. The family members appear to be aging rapidly, their clothes growing more tattered. He notices crude, childlike drawings scrawled in the margins of some pages. These drawings depict stick figures with X's for eyes, standing behind bars. On one page, a photo shows the children with terrified expressions, pointing towards a dark corner of what appears to be this very room. Beneath it, a new inscription, scrawled in a frantic adult hand, reads, "He never left us. He just changed." As he reads this, a faint, disembodied whisper, almost a sigh, is heard directly behind him. He spins around, but the room is empty. Jake clutches the scrapbook tightly, his eyes darting frantically around the small, decrepit room. He is acutely aware of the biting cold and the pervasive smell of decay. His phone battery icon suddenly flashes red, indicating it is critically low. He hears a distinct, guttural rasping sound coming from the corner of the room near the child's chair. He slowly turns his head. In the deep shadows of the corner, he sees a form. It is a silhouette, taller and thinner than a human, almost like a twisted shadow. It does not move, but its presence is suffocating. As he stares, the silhouette seems to slightly shift, growing incrementally taller, its edges blurring into the oppressive darkness. A low vibrating hum fills the room, making the air feel heavy. He tries to back away, but his foot catches on something unseen on the floor, causing him to stumble and drop the scrapbook with a thud. The phone light flickers precariously. Jake scrambles to pick up his phone and the fallen scrapbook, his hands shaking so violently he almost drops them again. The silhouette in the corner remains still, but the low humming sound intensifies, now accompanied by a chorus of faint, overlapping whispers that seem to emanate from the very walls themselves. The whispers are too distorted to understand, but their tone is mournful and accusatory. He realizes the whispers are not just around him, but seem to be coming from inside his own head, a chilling invasion. He presses his hands against his ears, trying to block them out, but they only grow louder, clearer. He glances at the scrapbook in his hand, then back at the silhouette. The shadowy figure appears to have moved slightly closer, almost imperceptibly, making the cold in the room even more piercing. He feels an invisible pressure building in the room, making it hard to breathe, as if the walls themselves. A single distinct child's giggle cuts through the cacophony of whispers. Jake, overwhelmed by the whispers and the terrifying presence of the shadow, stumbles backward towards the opening he created in the wall. He clutches the scrapbook to his chest, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He reaches the opening, pushing his body through the torn drywall back into his modern bedroom. He turns to slam a piece of plasterboard back into place, desperate to seal the room again. But as he looks at the opening, he sees the shadowy figure from the corner has now moved. It is standing directly in the doorway of the hidden room, its form now more defined, appearing skeletal and impossibly tall, blocking his escape route. Its head is tilted in an unnatural way. A low, guttural growl echoes from the hidden room. Jake's eyes dart to his bedroom door. He lunges for it, grabbing the handle and twisting. It is locked. He tries again, violently rattling the handle, but it will not budge. Panic washes over him. He bangs his fist on the door, screaming, "No! No! Let me out! Open the door!" Jake continues to desperately pull and bang on his locked bedroom door, tears streaming down his face, but it remains sealed. The shadowy figure from the hidden room slowly begins to creep out of the opening. It moves with a disturbing, disjointed gait, its long, spindly limbs seeming to stretch and contract. The air around it visibly shimmers, growing colder and colder. The oppressive smell of decay intensifies, filling his entire bedroom. He can feel its presence behind him, a suffocating weight. He risks a glance over his shoulder. The entity is now fully in his bedroom, much closer than before. Its form is still largely shadow, but he can discern faint, glowing red pinpricks where eyes might be. A faint, almost silent scuttling sound is heard coming from underneath his bed. Jake freezes, paralyzed by fear, unable to look away from the creeping horror. As the shadowy entity continues to advance, a sudden thought sparks in Jake's terror-stricken mind. The scrapbook. He still clutches it. He quickly looks down at the open scrapbook in his shaking hands. He frantically flips through the remaining pages. He finds a page with a final, chilling entry, scrawled in a shaky, desperate hand. It reads, "It feeds on fear. Do not let it see yours. Do not look into its eyes. It follows the light. No, it wants to be seen. You must hide." As he reads the last words, the shadowy figure lets out a low, guttural hiss that seems to vibrate through the very floorboards. He glances up. The figure is now alarmingly close, its red pinprick eyes fixed on him. Its head cocks to the side. Jake quickly snaps the scrapbook shut. The room suddenly plunges into near complete darkness as his phone battery finally dies, extinguishing its light completely. Only the faint, malevolent glow of the creature's red eyes remains visible in the oppressive black. The room is now plunged into absolute darkness, save for the faint, malevolent red pinpricks of the entity's eyes that seem to float in the black. Jake is frozen in place, pressing himself against the locked bedroom door, desperately trying to control his ragged breathing. He can feel the intense cold emanating from the creature. The air around him becomes heavy and thick, making it impossible to draw a full breath. He hears soft, dragging footsteps, circling him slowly in the pitch black. The whispers return, no longer muffled but clear and insidious, directly in his ears. They are multiple voices, young and old, all whispering his name repeatedly. Jake, Jake, Jake. He feels an icy, spectral hand brush against his cheek, causing him to flinch violently. The whispers grow louder, morphing into distorted, triumphant cackles. He feels a sharp, piercing pain in his arm as something unseen grasps him tightly, its touch like frozen iron. He lets out a strangled scream, utterly consumed by panic. Jake's scream is abruptly cut short, replaced by a choking gurgle. The invisible grip on his arm intensifies, pulling him relentlessly away from the door and deeper into the oppressive darkness of his own bedroom. His struggles become weaker, his body going limp. The whispers and cackles reach a crescendo, then suddenly cease. A long, chilling silence descends upon the room. After a moment, a single deep, rasping breath is heard. Then, a new sound. It is a slow, methodical scratching coming from inside the wall, mirroring the sound Jake heard at the very beginning. The scratching is now accompanied by the faint, rhythmic thud from inside the drywall. The bedroom door, which was previously locked, slowly creaks open, revealing a sliver of normal, outside hallway light. But from within, the now fully open hidden room in the wall, two small, faintly glowing red pinprick eyes peer out into the hallway, just visible in the darkness. A new, distorted whisper track, identical to the opening hook, begins to play softly under the scene. Some secrets are not meant to be found. Some homes are not meant to be entered. And some walls, they are not just walls. They are prisons, waiting, breathing. What secrets does your house hold? What lurks just beyond your sight? Do you dare to look? Or are you content to let sleeping terrors lie? Share your own chilling experiences in the comments below. And if you dare to delve deeper into the unknown, remember to subscribe for more tales from the shadows. You never know what might be waiting just behind your wall.